So, in one of the recordings I was talking about, I briefly went over I briefly said about like the brotherhood of light, brotherhood of darkness. Now, when I say brotherhood, I'm not meaning males only. It's just a term that's used in the occult, right? So it could be men or women. Like it's not a thing, right? So hopefully we could start thinking on that wavelength. But supposedly, right, from what I understand, the Brotherhood of Light uses their spiritual and mental powers to enact light upon the world for the betterment of it, right? Then you have the Dark Brotherhood that uses their spiritual and mental powers to enact darkness on the world to keep us ignorant. Now, me personally, I don't understand in that way those values because if you have too much light, it can be detrimental. If you don't have enough darkness, you can't grow. So you need both of them. But let me build the thoughts, right? So let's say the light brotherhood, the light brother hierarchy runs the world, right? And we're not talking about shadow government. We're talking about way like on deeper levels than that. We're not talking about the Illuminati at all. Like all those things are shadows compared to like what's actually running the planet. Because what's actually running the planet aren't humans. They're not humans like us. They're humans on completely higher levels that have been through the human experience and gained a certain type of frequency to not reincarnate into it and to attain their consciousness and their knowledge within their consciousness to look over the world and direct it. And supposedly there's a war between the light and the darkness. But I think that's a lower understanding of what's actually happening. And this is why. So if the light brotherhood enacts lightness for the world and the dark brotherhood does the opposite, then right now it seems like the dark brotherhood is winning, you know what I'm saying? But if you go with spiritual principles and look at the sun and the sun doesn't have an equal amount of time in the sky every day, all day for all throughout the year. It has its time to shine, but then it goes to the winter solstice where it has shorter days. You see what I'm saying? And those shorter days bring on longer nights, right? So just like the law of rhythm, there must be an understanding between the brotherhood of light and the brotherhood of darkness to be like, okay, for this amount of time, we're gonna shed light principles on the world. For this amount of time, we're gonna shed dark principles on the world. And it's not like they're fighting to the death to see who's gonna win superiority. I think what they're doing is they've mastered a certain discipline within their own spirituality that they're able to enact on the world with force, and they specified that force. So they push that energy through people that are receptive to it. But they also know that in the third dimensional human frequencies that we're in on this dimension, that we can't only get good vibes because we won't grow past what we are. So we need the darkness too. So the darkness and light the dark brotherhood and light brotherhood must be in cahoots, helping each other, saying, okay, this person was receptive to these vibrations, right? But these vibrations are no longer affecting them. Now I need you to put this vibration on them so they could get back to over here, so they could escape that vibration, and then I could pour more vibrations into them. Then they keep going higher and higher and higher and higher, which is the reason why when they say if you do something good will happen, or if you do something bad will happen. That's not necessarily true, because if you do good things all your life isn't going to be good. Your life is going to be what life is going to be, right? It's going to be based on what your soul needs to understand the things of this life. That's why we're here. So we can't expect to do good things and have good things happen to us. We have to expect actually to do good things and bad things happen to us, because that's what's going to test us to see if we're really doing good things. Because check this out. When we're coming up in the West, we think we do good things, we get to heaven. We do bad things, we go to hell, right? So let's say you don't do bad things because you don't want to go to hell. So you don't want to go to hell out of fear. You don't want to do that. So you want to go to heaven. But you only want to go to heaven because it's good, right? So if you think about it, it's egocentric of us to do good things just to get into heaven. Because all we're doing is ultimately thinking about ourselves. Like, I'm feeding this homeless person because it's the right thing to do, not because it's in my heart, not because it's in my being to do so. You see what I'm saying? So we need the darkness to propel us to the good. But when that darkness propels us to the good and we only latch on to the good, we're missing out on the purpose of the germination of the seed within the darkness. We're trying to cling to one side of things and not realize that the good is just as equal as the evil. It's the same thing. And if we understand when we go through good things in life, it's a blessing to be able to feel like that. But that experience in life is a meditation of how it feels. So when you go through the darkness, you can understand, I felt this way when I did these things and these things happened and I had this experience. But now I'm in the darkness and I'm learning something. And I need to concentrate on the feeling of the goodness in order to shield my mind from my negative thoughts so I can understand exactly what I'm going through and what I need to be doing. Like, for example, right now, my life is not exactly what I want it to be, nor where I thought I would be. But I keep having this battle within myself. Like, I keep getting closer to the edge and get closer to the edge and closer to the edge. And I'm realizing in small increments that I have these highs in life, then I have these lows in life. But in my mind, as long as the lows are higher than the lows I had previously, then I'm moving in the right direction. Like, I'm moving in a positive direction overall. But I understand that I need these lows in order to realize the highs. And I need the highs to keep me going, because I'm a lower being. I need the highs to feel good so I can keep going. Because if I only had lows, I will just beat myself up and I won't be able to progress any further. And the light brotherhood and the dark brotherhood, and that's what those forces are. In one aspect, I do believe they're manifested beings on higher planes. Yes, I do believe that. But ultimately, they're working on the principles of what light and darkness is. And lightness and darkness, all they are is a light from God and the darkness from the unknown, or the understanding and the ignorance, and putting them two together, realizing that the light is also the ignorance and the darkness is also the understanding. They're both the same thing. Like, they both are working together, which is the yin yang symbol, which is the dark brotherhood and the light brotherhood. They're working together. They both have pieces of each other within them in order to enact the force upon the world in order for us to do better. Now, with that said, there is another element to that, to where it comes into like spiritual warfare, because there is a frequency, there is a plane and frequency to where things are super diabolical, like super fucked up, like super like on some evil type shit. And the reason for that is the humans. Those are our thoughts. You have to remember, like, our thoughts and how we're feeling, all those, like, although like we may feel them at a moment, then they go away from the perception of our frequency, our awareness of frequency. It goes away. But those energies are being dragged and pulled and manifested somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? And eventually the manifestations of those frequencies build up into beings, and those beings become conscious, just like we're conscious, right? And those lower beings are like souls, like we are to the angels. Like, all those feelings and thoughts and experiences that we're having within our being and that we cast away, those are beings on another frequency that don't have the consciousness that we have, but they have a life like we have, in the sense that the angels don't have the life that we have, but we have a life like they have. And sometimes those negative frequencies all collide and come together, and they make these beings that prey on other human beings on a different frequency and sucks their energy to survive. Like that is a thing. Like we are doing that to each other, and it's manifest in the way we treat each other and the things that we do and the things that we go for. Even myself, like I'm not excluded from that. Like sometimes I do things that I know are not right, but I still do them because that energy is drawing to me. And even with the things I do know, I don't always have my mind on guard and always in that meditative state of all mind to realize it. And sometimes I do, and I just don't care, because at certain times in your life, you have to do things that you have to do in order to understand things later. And I understand that sometimes I'm going to do fucked up things. Sometimes I'm going to do really great things. But my focus is on understanding why, while I'm doing these things, to have complete understanding of why I'm doing them. Even if I do something completely fucked up, I have understanding of why I did it. If I do something completely good, I have understanding of why I did it. And the most important factor to me is that I'm doing it genuinely. If I do something evil genuinely, I've succeeded within my own being. If I do something good genuinely, I've succeeded within my own being. Because I always wanted to like use this consciousness to go to the next world with that consciousness linked, but I realized, damn, like I don't have the tools and the space and the mental capacity and the force and the frequency to hold on to that consciousness in that type of way. So what I'm trying to shoot a little bit lower and be like, okay, can I live a genuine, authentic life of who I am? And then based on who I am, can I perfect that? Because if I can do that, that means I can live on. And I might not live on as the full being of who I am, but I can live on in the process of being better. And that process of being better translates to my soul, which I join myself because I'm trying to do better, which my soul is trying to obtain the experiences of lower life so it can do better. Because although souls come from God, souls come from the light, they're not perfected. That's why they're souls. Like, they're souls because they're not perfected. Spirits are perfected souls. And then beyond spirits, there's probably another set of understandings of souls and spirits that are higher than that. Like, for instance, this soul may not actually be a soul. It might just be a borrowed piece of light from the total creator that you're able to use for now in order to develop your own soul in order for you to get to the next level. You see what I'm saying? Or maybe the soul is just there animating you so you can use your ego and turn your ego into a soul. So then when that soul teaches the ego how to have enough light, then the soul departs and the ego becomes a soul. Anyways, so these forces of what we're doing, going back and forth, going here, going there, the light and the darkness, these forces are manifested in the occult as the light, the Brotherhood of Light and the Brotherhood of Darkness. But these forces aren't necessarily against each other in the sense of like war on Earth. They're against each other in the overall success of humanity. Now, I haven't gotten much into it, but eventually, as I keep going on my journey, I will talk about like the lower life forms that we're creating and how we're how it's affecting us and how we're combating it and transforming in later times. I'll go into that.